showcase all those things. Oh well, here is a platform that gives you the opportunity to voice out the problems that are affecting you in your society and to showcase your talents and innovative skills. Join the conversation on Youth Arena with Cecilia and Sesay every Thursday 5 to 6 p.m. on Freetown Television Network, Channel 35, as I bring you interesting stories and this is Youth Arena live on Freetown Television Network, Channel 35, and on Freetown Radio 90.5 FM. I am Cecilia Alice Sesay, and this is Youth Arena. Topics around youth world. As young people, we go through so many challenges, difficulties, and some tough situations that seem to be stumbling block to most children at home. Oh yes, I know it's hard because I am a youth. But hey, in the midst of all those trials and ordeals, we still have that strong and vibrant youth that thinks about creativity, innovation, education, and entertainment. And for far too long, you have been looking for that platform to showcase all those things. Oh, welcome back. This is Youth Arena live on Freetown Television Network, Channel 35, and on Freetown Radio 90.5 FM. Youth Arena is the program that looks into issues affecting young people in society, ranging from social, emotional, political, and economic problems in society. In the Youth Arena, we educate, we motivate, we inspire, and we entertain young people. Today in Youth Arena, we are going to be discussing violence on sex workers and their livelihood during this COVID-19. And very recently, June 2nd, Sierra Leone joined the international world to celebrate International Sex Workers Day. And so therefore we're looking at their challenges, how they have been harassed and violently and marginalized in society. To discuss all this in the program, I am in the studio with Habib T. Kamara, the Executive Director of Social Linkage for Youth Development and Child Link. Good evening and welcome to Youth Arena.
Yeah, good evening and good evening, viewers.
Okay, firstly, let's start with the International Day of Sex Workers that we recently observed on June 2nd. People might want to know what the day was all about.
Yeah, on June 2nd, Sierra Leone joins another civil society organizations and the global world at large to commemorate the International Day for Sex Workers. And as you all know, we are now in COVID. Sex workers' livelihood is being threatened and has been tampered at. And that is the reason more especially right-based organizations in Sierra Leone, like the Social Linkages for Youth Development and Child Link. This organization works with young people, more drug users and commercial sex workers that are drug users. On the 2nd, we targeted 50 of them in one of our hideouts that we visited those hideouts just to raise our voice as a country, to raise our voice as civil rights-based organizations, to call upon secondary authorities, more especially stakeholders, that this set of population, which is more key, their livelihood is being affected. As we all know that commercial sex work is being criminalized in Sierra Leone. But we need to give commercial sex works a public health approach and a human rights lens. So, what came about this day, it was in 1975 in France, Lyon City to be specific. About 100 commercial sex workers came together and went to a church called St. New to raise their anger and abuse being melted on them. at this church. So they raised banner, and this banner, the written that was on this banner, inscribed says, "Our children do not want us to go to jail." Simply, that is telling the government or the authorities then in France that these are people's mothers, and these people's mothers are children, are citizens of that nation. They have the right to their human rights, they have the right to live, they have the right to shelter. So it came up with international and national brows. So the international communities now said this day should be annually celebrated and makes approaches, more especially day before yesterday, the 2nd. All over the world, this day was celebrated to raise awareness and to raise concerns to government to cater for these people. Now, especially, their sex work is being tampered by the public state of emergency.
Let me come in a bit. Well, we've been observing this International Day of Sex Workers, and this year, of course, we're faced with COVID-19, and you said you did an activity wherein you were able to reach onto 50 of them. Where exactly did you get onto them?
Yeah, I went up. I make a small package for them. I provided a sanitary pad, toiletries, condoms, and more especially, I am doing a needle and syringe exchange program on the national HIV response, reaching out to injectors. Now that there is lockdown, now that their movement is being slow, so in that package, the NSP items was in that package. So I was able to invite the United Nations UN country director to visit one of these hideouts where commercial sex workers are living, for himself to see the present condition and the state of the state that the commercial sex workers are undergoing through this COVID-19. More especially, what we have seen during this outbreak is more gender-based violence that is now being maintained on commercial sex workers.
Now, Habib,
yes,
as an organization that deals with sex workers and youth and drug abuse, all of that, and over the years we've been seeing how sex workers are being abused and marginalized in society. I believe you must have done a survey on that. You must have tried to know where the problem is coming from. Tell us exactly in what form have they been marginalized? How have they been, have people not been fair to them? How have they been handled violently in society? Because you rarely see someone and you know this person is a sex worker. So you tend to ask yourself, what is this violence happening when I barely see sex workers around? Except those who go there knows where they are. So tell us, as an organization, when you did your survey, what exactly, how are they being marginalized? Who are these people that are taking violent actions against sex workers? I believe you must have done a survey on that.
Yeah, we did a survey in 2013 and 2015, which we call the stigma index. The stigma index is coming from, the stigma index is telling you about you have community that is being abusing this disadvantaged group. You have their pimps. You have the law enforcers. Like, for example, law enforcers, it is not like about loitering. Many a times sex workers are arrested, and law enforcers that arrest them will say, bail yourself. All of us are seeing in this country, it is on records. So it is a holistic way sex workers are being treated, more especially by the communities, by the law enforcers, and even those that those that associate with them that are their pimps sometimes melt abuse on them. Now, more especially now in terms of COVID, their livelihood has been threatened. They cannot go out again the way they used to go out. Now, what they used to get, they are not getting it again. But these are Sierra Leoneans, and they are Sierra Leonean children. It is a responsibility,
I
yes.
want us to look at their livelihood during this COVID-19 later. Specifically, let's talk about the violence on sex workers. A lot of time you just see messages on WhatsApp, you see videos saying, oh, this lady was found dead in the road, some of those things you see them, or this lady was beaten half dead on the road. You don't actually see the perpetrators. You don't actually see those people who abuse them. You know, several times we've seen cases wherein some of the sex workers lost their lives through that. And so as an organization, it's not just about identifying the problems that, yes, they have been marginalized, yes, people are doing violent acts on them, but then what have you done to at least minimize that?
We have been doing our own part, but this is a holistic approach by all Sierra Leoneans, from the judiciary, even from the executive, to the legislative, to the judiciary, and even to the law enforcers. We have seen the past 2 years at Aberdeen, girls that are commercial sex workers have lost their life gruesomely, and those cases are still in the judiciary. We have not heard anything about them. And this is pathetic. That can create a bad image to a country. And we have signed a lot of international treaties. Now we need to shift, and we need to shift a paradigm shift towards reaching out to these key populations that we have just highlighted, no? Especially the commercial sex workers. Everybody can deal with commercial sex workers. I might leave my comfort zone today to either another place, perhaps who I can access is a commercial sex worker. We have people in authorities that always meet with commercial sex workers when they are not in their work. But we need to give this commercial sex work thing now and more livelihood sustainabilities. In certain countries, they have developed.
Habib,
yes, ma'am.
I believe sex work. First of all, you mentioned that they are mostly arrested. Why do you think they have been arrested? First of all, the sex workers have been seen as criminals here in Sierra Leone most times, and that is why they are arrested, because you come out at night to do your hustle, and then maybe while returning home you get arrested by a policeman. And sometimes there have been reports wherein it is the very policemen who actually raped them, asked them for something. It has been alleged several times, even though there haven't been lots of proof, there haven't been proof to that. But then we've heard about it. Several times we've seen it alleged that the very policemen who claim to arrest these sex workers at the end of the day do not take them to the police station. Some of them take the sex workers somewhere else and ask for something in return, which is wrong. And sometimes when sex workers refuse to have sex with guys or even policemen, they beat them up mercilessly and leave them in the street. You know, all of those things is what we're talking about this moment. And so I want you to delve more in that, because we really need to put that in order. We know it's been seen as a criminal act, but yes, those people also have their rights. So what have you been doing to make sure that all of those things stop? Because it's not just about identifying those problems.
That is the reason we are raising eyebrows. We are raising more consciousness towards these institutions to have. We are talking not either like other countries are now putting in place. If you try to give more policy reforms towards that direction, which in returns can make that institution more viable, like some other countries are making these things and legalizing that part of art. Government cannot give everybody's work in this country or in the world. These are now big time industries, needs to be regularized by laws. if they are regularized by laws and they are paying their tax, and their tax later pays those that we are calling police officers or law enforcement arresting them, they will now think that these people too are providing and to our GDP as a country to sustain. But notwithstanding what has been going on, and it has been on document, and this thing has making our human development index to drop out. Not only of what other abuse that have been maintained, but when it comes to international rating, all these populations, there are organizations that comes to have recommendations or to make a pre-surveys to know how are the abuse maintained by these people. Now, we have been reaching out to them through the public health approach with response from the HIV lineage. With the HIV lineage, we are now seeing support from stakeholders, more especially the judiciary, the law enforcers that we are talking about. Like I operate with drug users, more the injecting drug users. We have now started a pilot needle and syringe exchange program for those that inject, to give them clean needles, not to share it, for them not to have the HIV. There are a lot of discussion. Since day before yesterday, I have been on media. I'm just coming from a media house to this place because of the sensitivity of the present situation, more especially in terms of COVID-19. And this population, this is what we saw that has been a mismatch in the terms of COVID response. Key population, drug users, commercial sex workers are not included into the fight. Now that COVID is in our communities, commercial sex workers who are drug users have underlying health-related problem, and their immune systems are down. It is now what for the country response team to incorporate organizations that are reaching out to them. We are operating a drop-in center. These people used to come there to take their services daily, but now because of the COVID, and we do not have passes to operate our drop-in centers, we cannot support them presently. There is a challenge. And again, talking about the livelihood, I have been, since this COVID, I have been engaging the government and the Ministry of Social Welfare, Youth, and NACSA for them to incorporate these vulnerability community. These are more vulnerable because they are commercial sex workers, but some of them have underlying health challenges like HIV/AIDS. Some of them are HIV patients. If you are giving disabled people, other vulnerable communities, we are not against it, but if you incorporate this group into their livelihood.
Speaking of HIV and AIDS,
yes,
yeah, yes, they might have this HIV and AIDS, but the question is, how are they getting it? It has also been alleged that most times when these sex workers meet with their client, the client would say, you shouldn't use condom. Yes, they force them to have sex without condom. Don't you think it's also their right to make decisions, even though they are to give services to their client? But if you are a man and then you say, some of those people actually know that I am affected, and so I don't know if they feel so happy passing the HIV and AIDS to innocent people. So sex workers do not have the right, because yes, you're finding your daily bread there, yeah, and then you have this one client per day, and you want to render your service, and he said, no, you're not supposed to use condom. If that lady has no choice, she'll definitely go in for that. So that's the problem as well. So the best, don't you think you should more embark on educating them to say no to any clients who insist that they should not use condoms?
Yeah, that is always our approach to education of using condoms. But even the country itself, even Sierra Leone, people that are educated refuse condom negotiation. Condom negotiation has to be key into our livelihoods as this country if we want to develop in terms of sexual reproductive health. You do not know the person you are meeting for the first time, you say you should go without condom. Again, you have some clients that comes to these sex workers, they say, no, I don't want condom. but you don't know the status of that person you are negotiating to have a sex. If the person says, without condom, I will not have sex with you. You have some people who say, okay, if this person is charging 100,000 and he doesn't want to use condom, men are so funny. Certain times when it comes to sex, which is about 5 to 15 minutes enjoyment, that you take time to kill yourself, you don't know. So some men will say, okay, I will add.
But then, don't you think this is the very violence we're talking about? Because violence is not just about physical hitting someone.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So if I'm a sex worker and I said, yes, I'm ready to render my service, but I want to use condom, allow me to do that. If you force me not to, it means you are violating my rights.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things. It's not just about the beating stuff you should be advocating for.
There is a lot of violence meted by women. It's not just beating somebody that is a violence. Even refusing that person in terms of their need, and she is supposed to have that thing, you refuse it, is a violence, or it is a crime towards that person's human rights. Coming to what you are saying, in terms of condom negotiation, I'm just saying, these things, I have done a survey within even universities, tertiary educations. Our young girls that are coming up and the young guys that are coming up do not like condom negotiation in terms of relationships, in terms of To be mindful, day before yesterday, the UN AIDS country director told you people that the country population, the country percentage for HIV was then 1.5. Now, based on the last survey, it has gone to 1.8. But this 1.8, you have soft population, the commercial sex workers. Within the commercial sex work, it's about 8.9. Within drug users, it's about 14. Within MSM, men that make sex with other men, it is about 14.9. These are just subset of the national population. So adding this subset national population to the national 1.8 now will become very increased. So that is the reason we are calling upon authorities to improvise regulations. Now there's an HIV Act, like what you are saying. If I know that I have HIV and I willingly passed it to someone, there is an act that can try me. But we have a problem in this country as Sierra Leone. People don't like to follow their right or what has been mentioned on them in terms of judiciary. Now that law was created in 2011, but recently, based on the trench of social lives are now going, that law has now been reviewed and it could be soon be passed. Now, if you know that you have HIV and you willingly passed it on to another person, if that person got to know about it, can sue you, and you are liable.
How can you get a proof?
How can
that this person was aware that he was HIV positive? How can you possibly tell that?
How can you tell that? Like in the HIV Act, everything is confidentiality. If I am HIV positive, the health care or the health personnel that treats me for HIV, that I always go to him or her to have my administration, does he have that right to even tell that person, this is the way this man is, based on that confidentiality? No. Again, let me come. You just asked, how can you know? Again, if true proof, you know that this is the man or this is the person that you last got intercourse with, and you have been tested after that sex with that person, you have right. There are counselors. That's why you have counselors in terms of HIV relations. You have somebody that can counsel you. So through the counseling, you might know where your last contract was or where you last meet. But other countries now that have advanced in Africa, like the East and South of Africa, you have somebody that you can meet and he or she can tell you, I'm HIV positive. That doesn't mean if that person is HIV positive, you have relationship, you can transfer it. You have so many ways. One, by using condoms. That is the constant way. Two, if that person is on he or her treatment without defaulting, that person, when the viral load has been suppressed, that person can have sex with somebody without transferring. But if that person I willingly know that I'm a HIV positive, and I passed it on to somebody, if that person later knows that I was the person, it is criminal.
But then we're talking about sex workers here, who their work is yes. So some of them don't even know how many people they've got sex with within the next 2 weeks. You don't know. Some actors slept with more than 3 to 4 in a day. You can't tell. So how can you possibly trace that 10? It's really difficult. It's just have to be they themselves stick by their word to say no. If you're not using condom, take your money and go. So that is what you should be embarked on, because they don't have memories. Some of them go through this under the influence of alcohol. Most of them goes to these clubs, bars. They get themselves with their clients. They have good time, drink enough, and so you doze off. You don't even know that person. You don't recognize that person at that night. All you know is that he's a client. He wants this. You go to your usual point, have it. So you cannot really tell who was the last person you slept with in terms of that. That is why what you should be embarking on is to tell them what they need to do. You make sure you cancel them for them to stick to their words. But then let's stop here for now. And so viewers, we have been discussing about violence on sex workers, and we have been able to understand the problems of this violence against sex workers, and we'll provide solutions to this at the end of the day. And when we come back, we are going to be discussing now how these sex workers survive during this COVID-19. We all know the situation in the country, but then let's take a short break. We'll come back. Stay with us. As young people, we go through so many challenges, difficulties, and some tough situations that seem to be stumbling block to us achieving our goal. Oh yes, I know it's happening because I am a youth. But hey, in the midst of all those trials and others,
world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal, for a better start tomorrow. Soon, life will be back. Meanwhile, let's stand apart together with one heart.
Hello? Have you heard?
What?
It's the UBA Orange Connect, connecting loved ones with the magic dial. Just dial #144*6*1# and link your UBA account to your Orange Money wallet. See, it's easy.
Wow, I just tried it. It worked.
You can now send and receive money from your Orange Money wallet to your UBA account in just seconds.
This bank to wallet service is simply magic.
Yes, no long queues, no stress. It is easy, safe, convenient, and super fast.
Great. Now I can easily send money to Papa in Kabbalah without any stress.
Link your UBA account.
It's Youth Arena live on Freetown Television Network, Channel 35, and on Freetown Radio 90.5 FM. In the program today, we have been discussing violence on sex workers and their livelihood during this COVID-19. And I'm still in the studio with Habib Kamara, the Executive Director for Social Linkage for Youth Development and Child Link. We continue with the program. Now, Habib, let's now go deep into their livelihood during this COVID-19. Well, we all know what the country is undergoing right now. Um, we believe it's affecting sex workers a lot, especially when we have state of emergency, we have curfew order, we have lockdowns at any time. It can come up at any time. And these people mostly do their jobs at night. And now we have curfew orders at around 9 o'clock. And as well as the bars, the clubs are all down. You know, they are facing a lot of problems. And so we want to go deep into it as an organization that is doing lots of follow-up on these people. What's your survey concerning this issue? What have they been complaining about during this COVID-19?
COVID-19 has been devastating for the sex workers community. Globally, not only in Sierra Leone. Their livelihood has been challenged. Where they used to go to fight for their livelihood, all these places are now being closed based on procedures put in place to fight this COVID. And like for Sierra Leone, the time is from 6 to 9. And 9 o'clock, when the country was open, those are some of the peak times for commercial sex workers. Now they are being challenged. They are now doing all type of things just for them to survive, which they have not been doing. Initially, when the commercial sex work, when the country security when the whole environment was open for business, by now they will be now waking up. During the days, they will be sleeping. In the evening, they are now up, ready to go back. But now it is the daytime. They try to cater for them to get. The price they used to charge, now they cannot charge that. And again, it's so risky. Coming now to what is our own take towards that. That is the reason we have positioning condom machines within areas we know that we have a lot of commercial sex works. We go every morning, we have people that go in there and administer condom in there. In the evening, we'll go and check if it needs refill, we'll refill it, because there's a lot of sex going underground. You cannot stop it. And there's so many risks towards that, and that is the reason we are seeing this gender-based violence within these communities, because they have pimps, and the way they operate now, initially if it's at night, the pimp too doesn't have works again. Not only the commercial sex workers, so they have pimps that they work with. These are their securities, and later they are their guys. For example, this girl, I'm the pimp to this girl. At night we go. What pimps used to do, if the commercial sex worker during night has somebody that can pay her a very big money, that pimps will have to go and sleep within that area that they are taking that commercial sex worker to give a security coverage. So after everything, he can give back up. So what are the pimps are now doing in this time of COVID? When these guys get their money, they violently remove it, take it from them, or later when they asked for it, they started beating them. That is the reason we are calling upon authorities. If we are supporting other vulnerable communities, let's, in this time of COVID, let us include commercial stakeholders. They are civilians. They are more vulnerable than most of those people. So we are advocating for that. But thank God, the government have risen with us and NAXA. Tomorrow we'll have a second meeting with NAXA towards that, for them to be creating way commercial sex workers that we have data for, those that we have been reaching out, for them to be motivated for their livelihood. Talking about their livelihood is really being affected, and they are going always for them to have livelihood for them and their family. Most of these commercial sex workers, 50 to 60% have children, and they support their other siblings. So it is not only the commercial sex workers. The commercial sex workers have their own children, they have their siblings that they are supporting. So we need to improvise for them as a nation in terms of vulnerable conditions like this.
Okay. Now let's now see what they have for us. We actually did an interview with Social Linkage for Youth Development and Child Link when they celebrated the International Sex Workers Day, and we were able to talk to two of these commercial sex workers. Let's hear from them. June 2nd every year is observed as International Sex Workers Day, marking the anniversary of the first major protest staged to forward sex workers' rights. In that light, the United Nations AIDS Country Director, Isaac Kamara, speaks to sex workers to protect themselves from HIV and AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases by using condoms.
Today, as we celebrate the International Year for sex work, we look at how we go fit make your work safe, how we go fit help you, make you protect yourself from arrest by the police where it be arbitrary. We know say sometimes you get situations where some bad policemen, them go arrest you, instead of taking you to police station, them go sex with you, them no go pay, where them go leave you. Those bad policemen, them, we for report them, make them arrest them. The police themselves go take disciplinary action against them. That's why we get organization like Slider, where they work with you and all the other sex worker groups, so that we go fit protect your rights, so that you are not being beaten by the police. We also know say sometimes you get yourself into a client. The client go beat you. Those clients, bad clients, them, we for report them for against GBV. You know, because you be sex worker, anybody go fit sex with you or beat you without any reason. We forfeit report those clients them, where them go take action. I go pay more. Make you say, tell the man no. Make you take your money go. Because if be that man where he go infect you with HIV. So we they plead with you, do ya, to always try say you go wear condom when you they do your work. If anybody they go where you need condom, you talk plus Habib or Swasel or any of the team, them go make sure say them go supply you with what you need. I know say sometimes some people they use drugs. If you they use drugs, you for know say it's another risk way before address.
Habib Kamara, Executive Director, Social Linkage and Child Links, speaks about the vulnerability and challenges of sex workers during this COVID-19 and therefore calls on the government to improve the livelihood of sex workers in Sierra Leone.
In the times of COVID, who say today una be go get una livelihood, una not get a livelihood day. So that the reason that this day, worldwide they commend and day, that they commemorate and day. Now for that we come meet una. Una get a lot of things there where they go through. Presently, today the country we wanna come on and next, they take the money, but now that 9 o'clock coffee. Again, a lot of things there where they party great. with other international people there for make we try for put the right them into places.
Some of the sex workers also speak about their difficulties during this COVID-19.
Friday, we succeed, we come out, we get money, we train for now. The problem is stronger for we now because now we know they have for come out, as we don't know on our house. You get phone, somebody calling, we go to the house. And I say, because Friday we dey call big money for now. Until I get 50,000 or 40,000 to go now.
You know they define us so because police that they can harass we. What are your really stay with the team so that they can do the own now so that they broke the house so all happen. So they plead on government make it help you.
Okay.
The money they pay people from inside England, it's an house on our own side. It's not like that. For me come on I'll go to another one because for the time I know I make fulfill them. I know I made their own for it. Long time, like you say 30,000, short time now 15,000. Government help when we do something we went to that side because they see that they can't care with the businessman with the software. May they help we can come. As to the put nobody up with bad for no to able to sleep.
Was an interview done on the 2nd June, International Sex Workers Day, and that was some of the concerns of the sex workers. Abby, as we've watched the video, there's this touching part that actually clicked my mind when one of the sex workers was asked whether if she has been given an option, would she quit the job? And she willingly said that she's willing to quit the job if she is having any other option. So, as an organization, how have you been able to lobby for these people? Ask them, counsel them, what else would you want to do? At least create an opportunity for them. We've seen, okay, we have this, let's say an example, the microcredit, what they say, they give people, you do your business, and then you come with it again. I don't know if that's how it has been operating, but at least that's been a way of helping those people. So in any other form, something similar to that could be done. You could ask this person, what do you want to do? Okay, hairdressing. Now I'm going to support you. We're going to support you to at least learn the hairdressing proper, and then you start doing something on that. You ask the other one, what do you want to do? You know, some of those things, at least it will be able to solve some of their problems. We were able to understand that some of them, it wasn't really their plan to become what they are, but because of the circumstances they're there. So it means if they are being given an opportunity, some of them would make use of it. It's rather unfortunate we were able to get series of them, several of them to talk, because it's not all of them that have the boldness to say something. And then of course professionally, we're not allowed to show them full. So we did our best to make sure we get the reality of it, but then did not show any of their faces. So but then, like I was saying, what have you been able to do to make sure that you at least help those people to get another option?
Yes, that is the reason I took along a high delegation team there from the UN for them to see their livelihood. There are other organizations that we are working along this HIV response, have a livelihood inclusion into the program. Most of them are in vocational institutions. After the vocational training, they give them a livelihood skill. But if it was not the breakdown by the corona, the UN AIDS teams will have already put something together which could have been, and it's presently been on hold, which we know immediately the COVID finished, we have to do that as a livelihood. We are trying to, and it is a 50, we are starting with 50 kekes within Freetown as a pilot, that will buy 50 kekes, launch it with these commercial sex workers, 2 per 1, then they will use this keke and run it and pay it. And after they have paid for the keke, it now being their own, and we will buy and pass it on to the other ones. This is one of the approach we are trying to take. And with God willing, it will soon kickstart. These are the areas of where we want to build the livelihood skills for these people. Those that wants to go to textbook institutions, we will create that platform for them to the textbook institutions. This is the livelihood support. We are thinking along that line. Already one has been the one that I was just talking about. It was not the interruption of the COVID. We could have done it last month, but based on the visitation to this protest, this hideout the day before yesterday, that have even given a speech to the country director that we should try to re-energize that program now that COVID is on. So we are calling upon other peoples, like-minded peoples that can think about that, who are creating that platform as a start of 50 kekes to these commercial sex workers. After the due transportation, after about 6 months, finish pay for it, we buy another one and give for another set. That is what we want to do, not only in Freetown, all over the country where sex work is being practiced.
Okay. Yeah. So quickly, as we wrap up the program, as we've discussed some of the challenges of the sex workers and all what they're going to, what will be your final words to the sex workers, people listening, and the government at large?
The final words, more especially to the sex workers, they should abide by the rules. Do not challenge the law enforcers, more especially when it reaches times for curfew. Avoid the streets. If you are selling sex, sell sex with condom. You do not know the status of that person. To the government, these people need more support. Include this population into the country social safety net. These are vulnerable populations. Engage them with something. You can use this social safety net by capacitating their livelihood and capacitating them for them to learn something. You can even come up with a minimum money. That money can educate them. After they have acquired their trade, you will give them a startup kit for them to start something. So I call upon the government for us to review some of the criminalities associated towards the practice of commercial sex works and drug use in Sierra Leone. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much, Habib, Kamara, and it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We've learned a lot, and one of those things you should take home as a sex worker is what I learned from Mr. Habib today. If you sell sex, please sell sex with condom. That's something you should take home today. And we want to thank you all for being with us in the program. Thanks for watching, and continue to watch Youth Arena on Freetown Television Network, channel 35, every Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. Many thanks to the producer of this program, Crispin George, commonly known as Raptab, and his assistant, Mohammed Musa Bangura. And many thanks to the camera operator, Kelly Don, and the control room operator, Big Fish in the building. Many thanks for watching. Till meet again next week. I am Cecilia Ali Sesay, and this is Youth Arena. Goodbye.
As young people, we go through so many challenges, difficulties, and some tough situations that seem to be stumbling block to us achieving our goal. Oh yes, I know it's happening because I am a youth. But hey, in the midst of all those trials and others, we still have that young and vibrant brain that thinks about creativity, innovation, education, and entertainment. And for far too long, you have been looking for that platform to showcase all those things. Oh well, here is a platform that gives you the opportunity to voice out the problems that are affecting you in your society and to showcase your talents and innovative skills. Join the conversation on Youth Arena with Cecilia and Sesay every Thursday 5 to 6 p.m. on Freetown Television Network, Channel 35, as I bring you interesting stories and topics around youth world.
Now we got to pick in the future, and even the youth man and pleasure.
Who say we all are suspect? Me, you, all man are suspect. But the most important thing, we for always make the necessary precautions. Go wash your hand. For wash your hand with soap and water. Very important thing. Yes, family. Coronavirus na bad sick. Make sure say if you not give me, make me not give you. Then we suspect we say. Now we for continue for take the necessary precautions. One, let me continue for the wash your hand. If you want sneeze, make sure say you cover your mouth or your nose. Make sure say you use tissue. If you not get, cover am with your elbow. With that, we no go able to transmit the coronavirus to any other person. Then we keep social distancing. Most importantly, if you not get anything for go do now public. If you not get anything for go do now public, sit down now you host.